Good morning. Good morning. Hope all is well. Everything's all right.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going? Sorry for running late. I got caught in traffic. Interstate was real backed up. I think it's still backed up. I had to turn around and find an alternate route. So sorry for running late.
It's okay.
Hmm?
Mr. Tucker,
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I have to leave class early today because I have a flight.
Okay. Okay. Not a problem. Thanks for letting me know. I appreciate it. Class today. Somebody's asking about, do we have class today? Because I know I ran late, so I just want to make sure everybody get in here. Excuse me. All right, so let's look at what we're going to do today. Don't forget, tomorrow I did offer a testing opportunity for those who are ready to take a test. So we're talking about 9 o'clock, so 9 till about 10:40, because I do have to run to another class. So yeah, so that time, 10:40, 10:45-ish, that type of time should be enough time for your test. So all you do is just come in, make your cameras available. Show, well, if you've already been before, you're pretty much good on the ID part, but make your cameras available, and then I'll give you, tell me which test you want to take, and I'll give you the password for it, and we'll go from there. We'll knock it out. All right, let's see, where do we leave off last class? We factored solving quadratic equations. Yep, we did this, and we did perfect square trinomials. Okay. So we're looking at 612 today. I mean, not 612, I think it's 13.6 for you guys. Let me make sure. But we're solving quadratic equations today. I'm gonna do it by factoring. I was putting the wrong one. Yep. I can see. Sorry for the late login. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. 13.6. Solving quadratic equations. All right. Where's my pen? So this part right here, you don't need that. So that's why I got that scratched out. So before we had linear equations. Highest degree of our variable is 1. So that's why we only had one solution when we end up solving. But here we have our quadratic equations. Our highest degree of our x is going to be 2. Should be getting 2 solutions. All right, so we're going to use the zero factor property, or the zero product rule. Depends on what book you have and what they tell you. It's called the zero factor property or the zero product rule. Just says that if A times B is equal to 0, then A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, or both. All right, so basically, if I have this scenario right here, x plus 3, x plus 2 times x plus 3, what I can do then is set both pieces equal to 0 and solve. So that's what this zero factor property rule means for us. Make sure one side is equal to 0. Remember, 0 is a part of the statement, is zero factor property. So we're going to have one side equal to 0, then we're going to factor, and then from there we'll be able to solve. So this is what happens after we factor. Remember, we talked about it last class. After you factor your trinomial, you have those two pieces. Then you can set each piece equal to 0 and solve it. So set x plus 2 equal to 0. Subtract 2 from both sides. That'll give you -2 as a solution. Then set x plus 3 equal to 0. Subtract 3 from both sides, and x is equal to -3. So that is your zero factor property rule. And once again, your goal would be to factor as much as you can on one side of the equation. Then you set each piece, each factorization equal to 0 and solve. Scroll up. All right, so there go our steps. Step one, set one side equal to 0. So you want to make one side 0. Then we're going to factor completely. Then we'll set each factor equal to 0, and then solve each factor for your variable. All right, let me scroll up. All right, so first one, we have 5x squared plus 8x equal to 0. So remember, we want to factor if possible. Notice right here, I factored out the GCF first, which is x. I pull x out of both terms. So that's x times 5x plus 8. So this is my expression factored completely. There's nothing else I can do with that. So once that is the case, you set each factorization, set each piece equal to 0 and solve. Excuse me. So x equal to 0 is 1, and then 5x plus 8 equals 0 is the other. Now x equal to 0, there's nothing to solve there. So that is one of your solutions. X equal to 0. You know about that one. And then 5x plus 8 equals 0. Subtract 8 from both sides. Divide by 5. And -8 over 5 is our other solution. Questions on what we did there? All right, can I scroll up? Okay. All right, next one, p squared plus 3p minus 10, once again, equal to 0. Always check first, is one side equal to 0? If not, then you want to take it over. I think I got one like that. Hold on. Yeah, I think that's the next one. Okay. So if one side is equal to 0, now you're looking to factor the other side. Here we have p squared plus 3p minus 10. Don't forget, if that second sign is negative, that means both of our signs are going to be different. And then you want the factors of 10 that will subtract from each other to give you 3 in the middle. And then this greater needs to have this sign. So we did 5 and 2. 5 minus 2 is 3. And we make sure that the 5 is positive. So once you've established that that is your factorization, and don't forget, you can multiply this back out to see if you get what you originally had. Once you've done that, you set each part equal to 0 and solve for p. So you subtract 5 from both sides and just add 2 to both sides. P is equal to -5, and then p is equal to +2. All right, next one, we have 8k squared minus 47k equal to 6. So the thing that should get our attention first here is the fact that we have 6 on the right side of our equation instead of 0. So we need to subtract 6 from both sides. And 8k squared minus 47k minus 6 equal to 0 is our new equation. You okay with that? All right. So from there, we need a factor. So don't forget, we need to get 47 in the middle. Our options for 8 is 1 times 4 and 2 times, well, 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Our options for 6, 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. So whatever combination we create, we have to get 47 in the middle. Now, the closest thing we can get to 47 is 8 times 6. So that will be the first thing I would look to do, is doing 8 times 6, because 8 times 6 is 48, and then use the other numbers that go along with that. So 8k times k is 8k squared. 8k times -6 is -48k. 1 times k is just k. 1 times -6 is -6. So go ahead and add those in the middle, and you see we get our -47 back. And so that's, this right here, so we're good to go. So you always want to make sure that whatever values you choose for as your factorization, that you go back, multiply back out to see if you get what you originally had. Because it's always just you're governed. Like, you can always check to make sure that works for you. Once you know that you have the correct factorization, set each part equal to 0. So 8k plus 1 equal to 0. K minus 6 equal to 0. Subtract 1 divided by 8, -1/8. Then add 6 to both sides. 6 is our solution. Any questions? Everybody good? Everybody straight? Before we look at another one? All right, here we have 5n cubed minus 65n squared minus 150n. So once again, we have a number on the right side of our equal sign. It's not necessarily about being on the right side or left side of the equal sign. It's the fact that we don't have 0 on either side of our equal sign. So we do not have 0. So we need to get 0 on one side of our equation. So we're going to add 150n to both sides. And that'll give us 5n cubed minus 65n squared plus 150n equal to 0. Now, if you remember initially when we started this lecture, I said if your highest degree or your highest exponent on one is x, is one, if your highest exponent on your variable is 1, then there's one solution. Highest exponent on your variable is 2, then we have 2. And here, notice we have 3 solutions. 3 exponents, the third exponent on your solutions. If I can get it out right, we have your third exponent or your variable means you're going to have 3 solutions. So we have n cubed. I get it out, get it right one day. So we should be looking at 3 solutions here. So we're going to go ahead and factor. So factor out your GCF first. That gives us 5n times n squared minus 13n plus 30. Then we can factor out that n squared minus 13n plus 30. N squared is just n times n. Signs are going to be the same. We're going to use that minus sign for both. You need your factors of 30 that will add together to give you 13, which is 3 and 10. Any problems before we look to finish it off? All right. So now you set each part equal to 0 and so on. 5n equal to 0. Divide both sides by 5. So n is equal to 0. 0 divided by 5, which is 0. N minus 3 equal to 0. We add 3 to both sides. N is equal to 3. N minus 10 equal to 0. Add 10 to both sides. N is equal to 10. So those would be our 3 solutions. So you see how this section is still leaning on your ability to factor. And we just add that last step of setting each factor piece equal to 0. Any questions? Any questions? All right. We got a few more. Here we have w cubed plus 6w squared minus 9w minus 54 equal to 0. And once again, if we have 4 more terms, we're going to lean on factoring by grouping. So group together the first 2 and the second 2 or last 2. Then we factor out the GCF out of each parenthesis. So in the first one, I can pull w squared out of each term. And out of the second group, I can pull out -9 from each term. All right, in both cases, that gives or leaves me with W plus 6. Did somebody say something? No? Thought I heard a noise. So in both cases, that leaves us with W plus 6. So now I can factor W plus 6, bring it out front. And then what's left in the parentheses is W squared minus 9. So that's what happens here. All right. Now W squared minus 9 is the difference of squares. So that breaks down to Y plus 3, Y minus 3. And then set each part equal to 0. Subtracting 6, then subtracting 3. And then you add 3 to both sides. Get you 3 solutions. All right, questions, any questions? All right, so that's it for that section. That's it for chapter 13. So next class, I'll open the floor for any questions that you guys may have. Don't, if no one has anything, I don't have a choice but to go into the next section. But I mean, if you guys have questions, then we can, spend the whole class period just addressing questions if you have them to go over. That'll most definitely be for you guys to let me know. So like I said, I'll open up the floor and we can review as much as you guys like on next class. Also, once again, don't forget tomorrow, if you're going to take advantage of the time, I sent you those links already as far as the office hour. It's that same office hour link for Friday. So if you just click on that and then come through and you can take a test if you like. Also, before we close, does anybody have any questions, any problems you want to see done before we close out today? Anybody have anything?
No, sir.
Mhm. All right, so if you guys are good, I'm good. Appreciate you waiting as far as, me getting stuck in traffic. The link should be in your Canvas announcements. Should have been one of the last ones I sent. It should say office hours or something like that, but it should be in your Canvas announcements. Yep. Yeah, if you don't see it there, most definitely feel free to email me, but yep, that's where it would be. Yeah. I also sent it to you in the email as well, but I know it's archived. I archive all my emails there, so you can find it there if you can't find it in the emails. All right. So I'll see some of you tomorrow. Other than that, you guys take care. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Tuesday. All right.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks. You do the same.